Okay, so Wander, I mean, the fact that you worked with such an amazing cast, it's such a intense psychological film. What was your favorite part about making this movie?
Oh, my favorite part. I mean, we started writing the script, Tim Dorn, my producing partner, and I, 5 years ago. So it was a long journey of being in this conspiracy world of paranoia, government surveillance, and this grief and pain, and sort of like what's real and what's not, and this incredible world. And I feel like I was walking around for 5 years with like Johan Johansson in my head and shot listing. So I got to really brew on the film, which usually you don't have that much time to really sit with something. And I think sitting with the film for such a long period of time, and then getting over to New Mexico, we were there 6 months early prior to shooting, and really being inspired by the land there, and surrounded by where real conspiracy sort of the world comes from, and just being immersed there really was fantastic to let it land. So I love just entering the world of Wander and like breathing in it for a very long time. And then of course shooting is my favorite part, because I just can't help myself. It's like the Wild West, and it's when everything comes together and everything's electrifying, and whatever you've had in your head finally is like in front of your eyes. And watching Aaron Eckhart and Tommy Lee Jones ping pong across the screen together in this like mesmerizing performances where they both disappeared was unreal. Yeah.
What is it like working with two cinematic icons? Not to mention you had Heather Graham and you also had Katheryn Winnick. What's it like working with actors like that?
It's a joy. You know, Aaron gave 150%, all of his blood, sweat, and tears. He was so game to be a part of the indie film, and he had the indie spirit. He brought new ideas and raised the bar every day, was doing his own stunts. He is so intense, but I love him. I will go to bat and would, claw to work with him any day. He is just so passionate. He cares about every single second of the frame, and I love that. And he's so aware as an actor and so giving as an actor. Same as Tommy, a legend, prepared, and just loved the idea of wearing aviators and Hawaiian shirts and being something totally different than what he's used to. So he loved the challenge. And Heather Graham is intelligent and was finally not a romantic, prospect in a film. She got to play a grounded, tethered best friend. She had the job of like giving the audience the voice of reality. And she loved that. Her character was smart and, was grounded for Arthur. It was a very unique role for her as well. And Katheryn Winnick came in like a pro. She did her own stunts too. We had like 2 takes to get a sunset shot. She like launched herself through an air vent of the foxhole and was like, I don't need to practice. I'm okay. Aaron Eckhart catches her. And I was like, oh my gosh, her stunt double's standing right there. And I thought this could go either way, but she says she's confident. I'm going to let her do this. Like, I've got to trust my actors and they trust me. So let's do it. She launched herself through that foxhole window like a pro, rips off her mask, intros her character, and like bolts off into the sunset. And I was like, okay, we've got a movie. We're going. Everybody was game to play in, our crew was very small. Our budget was really tight. And all of these actors are used to studio and a lot bigger. But I think they love the freedom of being able to create together and like take big risks. And they had to move fast and think on their feet. And I think they all love that challenge.
That's so cool. I mean, yeah. The other thing that comes out of this conversation to me is how do you keep the concept straight? Because it is such a twisty, turny film and story. Do you have notes, or do you have some sort of document that helps keep you straight when you're filming?
So many notes. My shot list is so intrinsic and so detailed and so minute, but I'm also a creator that's obsessed with every speck of the frame that you can see: lighting, costume, blinks, edits. I know what my edits and my cuts and my everything's going to be ideally in an ideal world, although it all changes anyways. But I had my recipe book for sure, very clear and laid out. And I also had, this handy little cheat sheet to give to the actors to help them through it as well. I always think I don't want them to be confused where they are, especially because we shoot out of order. I always had just like time reference for them to help them. And believe it or not, Tim and I were really trying to make a simple, straightforward film this time. And I don't know what happened. It's always like, oh, great, a psychological thriller that involves, you know, somebody going through grief and paranoia, and somehow it just turned into, as it always does, same as 88, we were trying to just do like fugue state, but I guess it just gets more complicated when you're trying to visually give the audience what the main character is going through on screen. Our brain is so complicated, and so is our imagination. So whatever happens up here, I try to like relay into shots and experiences of a film, but that can get confusing.
It's amazing. I love what you've done with it. It's also, as you were saying, it looks stunning. Like the cinematography, the editing, everything else, it's astounding. It's very
Thank
cool.
you so much. Thanks.
The other side of it is like, how much did it change while you're making it? Like not even just while you're filming it, but over those 5 years, did it take on a lot of iterations, I guess?
Yes, definitely. You know, we came at it, Tim was going through a mental health issue, and so we wanted to come at a lead character who was struggling through the realities of paranoia, government surveillances, and how so much anxiety of being watched by Big Brother and what that does to people nowadays. And like, this is a very current topic, 5 years ago even. Obviously way more now.
While I was watching it, I was like, wow, did they plan this? Like, how did they know?
We didn't, but Tim was going through that at the time, and there was specs of, you know, chip technology, and lo and behold, 2 years later, border control became a huge hot button topic, and, you know, victims of government surveillance being like Indigenous, BIPOC, and, you know, all of that sort of became a lot more attention in the media, and it was never our, you know, original intention to be so current. Like, we just thought at the time that's what we were kind of going through, and that's what we as filmmakers wanted to, you know, give a message, to say something about our work finally. And I've been sort of always like silencing my voice out of the fear for not being able to create. And I was like, this time we're gonna do what we believe in. We're just gonna, you know, really, you know, set a tone for what we want to say. And then it ended up being like, it's extremely current, you know, and I think it's amazing that it's coming out right now, and it couldn't be more important.
Well, the other side now is what happens as a filmmaker now when things are so disheveled in terms of trying to make things? How have you gotten ideas from the pandemic, or how are you working now?
Yes, I mean, Wander actually was heavily hit by the pandemic. We were in the middle of post-production, so we found a way, because we had worked with Red Lab out of Toronto before, that our colorist came in on his own, and we split sort of this amazing technology and split screen, so I was able to color correct from home. And then our sound design as well with Urban Post, we were doing the sound mix from home, which it took a month to work those technologies out, but they were able to pull it together fast enough. We never delivered the film on time because of the pandemic, but we still delivered. Like, it was an amazing feat to be able to deliver a film with that budget level in the middle of the pandemic. So I feel like we're well prepared now. We know what we're going to do next time if this happens again. Shooting on set is a whole other story that, you know, we'll see where things land. And in terms of currently, Tim and I are just developing and writing. You know, we're putting together our next feature film. It's a, you know, a sci-fi action thriller, and we're writing and casting currently, and in the middle of developing a TV series and writing like crazy. So there'll be a lot of creators, I'm sure, developing a plethora of content ready to hit the screen when we can.
Well, and so I'm curious, you know, I've seen you work quite a bit in sci-fi and genre, I should say. Is that one of your favorite things? You've certainly done a lot of other things too, but I'm curious.
Oh no, I wish I could pick a very favorite thing. I just love immersing myself into a world, an imaginary world. You know, somebody was saying, you know, what's your favorite film? It's like everything from like Old Boy to Edward Scissorhands to Run Lola Run to Eternal Sunshine to In the Mood for Love, Wong Kar-wai. It's like I just have a love for life, and any filmmaker that gives a unique perspective into those little moments that make life special, but then are able to capture that on the big screen. And then I can replay it and rewind it and watch those sparks and those connections. It just like, that's why I became a filmmaker. I'm in love with life and therefore in love with capturing those moments. So whatever genre it might be, where I can expand, challenge myself, and take big new risks, I'm down to try.
That's awesome. Well,
yeah.
I have to ask one more thing, and you'll have to forgive me, but it has to be asked.
Yes.
2 million women would like to know, because that's how many women have watched my interview with your stars for Below Her Mouth.
Incredible.
They would love to know if there's ever going to be a sequel.
I have the great, great pleasure of saying we are currently developing something that might be a sequel.
That's amazing. That video is my most watched interview around the world. It's amazing to see the commentary that happens on that video as well, because I think it stood out. That movie has stood out as something very important to a lot of people. So I think it's really great news to hear you say that.
I think it made a huge impact at the time when it came out. It was just ahead of the curve of women in film and being comfortable with your gender or being non-binary, and what does that mean and why does it matter, and breaking the molds of love and the stereotypical kind of romances that have been seen on screen. And I think that it is inspiring to so many people. And I'm just so proud, and I feel so humbled and privileged to have been a part of that journey. And I want to deliver more.
Every time it's on Netflix or a North American streaming service, although also around the world too, that my video goes back up, and I can tell that people are really, really interested in that movie. So it's phenomenal to hear you say that you're kind of revisiting maybe.
I know. I can't wait. I don't know how long, I don't know when, and I don't know yet what it's about, but we are talking about it.
That's fantastic.
Yes.
Well, thank you very much. Is there anything else you want to share?
Thanks so much, Andrew. No, I just think that thank you so much for supporting independent cinema. It's harder than ever to get films like this made. Wander has such an original concept, original voice. It's not a remake, and it didn't have a lot of money. So just to have such high caliber stars and talent involved, and the community of Carrizozo, New Mexico, sort of embrace their doors and open their doors to us and allow us to come into their little town and take over for 4 months and live in their little motels. It was such an incredible, unique experience, and I think that I hope it's inspiring for people and new young filmmakers and artists to know that anything's possible, and if you dream it and you believe it, it'll happen.
That's amazing. Thank you so much. It's really nice to catch up. Hopefully next time
nice
it's in person.
Andrew. I hope so. At arm's length. Thank you. Thank you, The Gate. Thank you, Andrew.